Good evening and welcome to the Teach Minnesota Teaching Fellows information session. We are excited tonight to go over some of the key components of our program in Minnesota, and we're going to talk about why we think it's an incredible way to step into the classroom in the Twin Cities area. Today we're going to cover a variety of topics, and we hope that it will answer some of the questions that you have as you consider the program. But we also want to hear from you. So if questions come up, feel free to leave them in the comments section of the video or reach out to us at the conclusion of the presentation so that we can support you individually. Today we're going to go over what Teach Minnesota is and a little bit about our history. We're going to review some of the timelines and requirements so you can determine if you are a good fit for the program. Then we're going to talk about some of the key components of the program: pre-service training, the hiring process, school year expectations, and then finally at the conclusion of the program, the Tier 3 license requirement so that you can earn your license in the state of Minnesota. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with the financial piece before we open it up to questions and support you with your individual situation. And so it's first important to mention that Teach Minnesota is one of the state's first ever alternative teacher licensure programs. So it serves as a pathway for career changers or recent graduates to step into the classroom. As an overview, it is a one-year program for our elementary education fellows and a two-year program for our K through 12 special education fellows. And so it begins with an 8-week summer training, which allows you to begin teaching in the fall under a Tier 2 license at one of our partner schools. And then during the school year, you are earning a full teacher salary and benefits of the school that you're at as you work toward those other components to apply for and gain your Tier 3 license in the state. So it's important to note that Teach Minnesota is not the first time that TNTP Teaching Fellows programs have existed. They have been run across the country and been incredibly successful. They carry a big impact. To this day, 50,000 teachers have been recruited and trained, and as a result, many vacancies in high-need subject areas have been filled before the start of the school year at over 300 school systems across the country. So you are in good company when it comes to joining Teaching Fellows as a teacher preparation program. So I want to first introduce myself before I introduce the team. I am Amy Kate Wilkins. I support on the application and recruitment side of Teach Minnesota. So as you consider the program, I am going to partner with you along the way to make sure that your questions are answered, to make sure you're connected with the right people, to support you with your application, and ultimately to cheer you on as you consider this as an option or a next step within your career. Once you are formally enrolled, then we'll connect you with our team in Minnesota, which is comprised of 4 people. We have James, who is our program director in the Twin Cities area, followed by Nate, who's our program manager, and then our coaches that work with you in your classroom, Maggie and Kristen. So I mentioned that my area of support comes specifically with the application and enrollment side of things, which is the first main phase of the Teach Minnesota program. We are currently in our recruitment season. We have 2 deadlines left this spring, one in March and one in April, as we prepare to round out our cohort that will begin in the summer of 2023 and then begin teaching in their own classroom in the fall of 2023. After you apply and are formally enrolled, we connect you with our team in Minnesota so that you can begin to prepare for pre-service training, which is the next main phase of the program. Pre-service training is an 8-week training opportunity during the summer. We'll go over those dates in a little bit, but it's an opportunity to teach in the classroom, but also learn from our coaches and start to hone the skill of teaching. And then finally, the main phase of the program and the one that takes the longest is the teaching phase. So you begin teaching in the fall of 2023. If you're an elementary education fellow, it is a 1-year program. If you are a special education fellow, it is a 2-year program. And during those years, we'll go over support, but you are teaching in the classroom, learning those skills, honing that craft so that ultimately you can apply for your Tier 3 license in the state. So we want you to know that there are some eligibility requirements that are put out by the state of Minnesota and our program just to make sure that you are a good fit. My recommendation is always, when in doubt, reach out and ask about your specific situation. But just to review, there are a few eligibility requirements that applicants must have. The first is you must have a bachelor's degree. If you're currently working toward that, it just has to be conferred before June 1st, 2023. You have to have a minimum undergraduate GPA of 2.25. You are going to need a copy of your transcript to validate that. You must be able to meet all legal requirements to work in the United States. You must meet all Minnesota state academic requirements. And then if you did earn any kind of credits from a university outside of the United States, then you do have to go through the process to make sure that those foreign transcripts are evaluated. Again, when in doubt about something with eligibility, please reach out so that we can work with you individually. So we mentioned that the first main phase of the program is pre-service training. And pre-service training is an opportunity to learn and practice the skills associated with teaching. It's comprised of 2 parts. The first, serving as a teacher, which you'll see on your screen, and then the second, serving as a student and learning about teaching and how to hone that craft. Our summer program occurs at Wayzata Public Schools, giving you an opportunity to teach summer school in the first part of the day where you are lesson planning and teaching and being observed. And then the second half of the day, becoming a student, learning all about the logistics and the skills associated with teaching, receiving coaching and feedback, and ultimately making sure that we're checking the boxes that are required by the state licensing agency so that you can begin the year as a Tier 2 teacher at your place of employment. These are important summer dates. This is new information and something that we want to make sure we're upfront about. So on the screen, you'll see our first PST or pre-service training preview day on April 22nd. On June 3rd, we hold our orientation day, and then we really kick off the summer the week of June 12th, where we are preparing for students. June 19th, our students in the summer program begin, which means that your time as a teacher and then a student learning about teaching begins on June 19th. The schedule for that time is that Monday through Thursday, you are in person in Wayzata from 7:30 to 3:30. Again, making sure that you're teaching in the morning and learning in the afternoon. There are some virtual sessions that will occur after 3:30. And then Fridays are 100% held virtually from 8 to 3:30 at the working location of your choice. We are off for the holiday with July 3rd and July 4th. And then pre-service training concludes on August 4th. Before the conclusion of PST, we will support you in securing a position for the next school year, a teaching position, and it can occur in 2 ways. The first is if you are referred by a school leader, if you currently work at a school and that is a place there is a position for you, then you've already checked the box of being hired. We call those our internal referrals. If you're an external candidate, then our team, once you're enrolled, supports you in determining what are your preferences with a school, what are your age preferences, area of town, knowing that all of these things ultimately lead to your job satisfaction. We'll support you with that process, connect you with various positions at our partner schools, help you in preparing to interview and have your resume set. But ultimately receiving a lot of support so that you can be hired by one of our partner schools. It is really exciting to note that last year we had 100% of our fellows hired by July and starting the school year with one of our partner schools. If you are interested in hearing more about our partner schools, I'm happy to send that information to you. It's a list that we're constantly trying to grow, so feel free to reach out. And if you currently work at a school that you do not believe is a partner school, let us know. Let's see what connections we can make. Once PST or pre-service training and the school year or the summer program are complete, then we turn our attention to the school year, where there are 4 main expectations. The first is effectiveness coaching. So you will have a coach in your classroom supporting you on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and providing you with feedback so that you are able to improve in your craft. You also have ACE observations 4 times a year as a part of the licensure requirements, and you're scored on those. That score is important as we work toward licensure in the state. You also have continued coursework online that's working toward those state requirements. And then finally, you're teaching day in and day out, supporting your school both as a teacher and other different responsibilities that you might have. That's definitely an important 4th component of the school year expectations. Once the first school year is complete, our elementary education fellows have hopefully completed the requirements and can be recommended in the spring of 2024 for their Tier 3 license. There are 3 things that we'll want to make sure are complete in order to apply for that Tier 3 license. The first is that the Teach Minnesota program requirements have been met. So pre-service training, coaching, the online coursework. Also making sure that you have passed your ACE observations with a score of at least 2.75, which we'll definitely go over within the program. And then finally, passing the state testing requirements. So the performance portfolio with EdTPA, and then also the MTLE exams. So this is what is needed for our elementary education fellows to apply for their Tier 3 license in the state after their first year with us. And then we turn our attention to our special education fellows who take 2 years to complete. All of the elements of the elementary education slides that we just went over have to occur, but also making sure that the additional special education modules are complete and that the testing for special education is passed. Let's quickly go over the financial information for the program. The tuition for Teach Minnesota is in 2 categories. The first is elementary education, which is a total of $7,000 for the 1-year program. And then for special education, $8,500 for the 2-year program. Tuition is first due in the fall of 2023 and a payment plan is available. I think one thing that's important to highlight is that if for whatever reason you choose to opt out before the end of 2023, then no financial burden is incurred. There are a couple of resources that are made available to you to support financially. The first is that some of our applicants are eligible for the Black Educator Excellence Cohort, or BEEC, as you'll hear it referenced. This is an opportunity to receive various stipends to support with the transition from school or your current career to the program, can support with testing cost or certification requirements that have a financial component. definitely the ability to also utilize that network of support within the Twin Cities area. So BEEC is one benefit or financial resource that will aid a few. The next is the AmeriCorps partnership. So our fellows are eligible to participate in AmeriCorps, where they can receive a education award. It cannot be used toward the tuition of the program, but it can be used toward past, current, or future education costs. And then finally, our partnership with Johns Hopkins University, where after the conclusion of their program, you can earn your master's degree at a reduced cost from that university. These are all financial resources that are available to you, but also happy to support more with questions that you have about the financial component of the program. These are a couple of questions that we get asked often that we just want to highlight for those considering the program. The first is testing. So fellows are required to pass the relevant and applicable MTLE exams for their specific licensure area in order to apply for and obtain your Tier 3 license in the state at the conclusion of the program. I do want to highlight that there are a lot of testing resources and support for these exams. I always tell people we want you to pass just as much as you want to pass, so we make sure that you have the resources you need to make that happen. For hiring and salary, I mentioned it earlier in the PowerPoint, but there is a lot of support around resume building, interview prep, connecting you with different open positions at our partner schools, and ultimately supporting you and making sure that you find an employment situation for the fall of 2023 that excites you, that you feel confident in. And also a component of that is that you are earning the full salary and benefits of a first-year teacher in that school. And so we can support you in navigating that as you look for a position for the fall. Relocating, if you are coming from outside of the Twin Cities area or outside of Minnesota, relocation costs are up to the fellow. They are responsible for those costs, finding their own housing, and the financial component of that. Of course, the vast majority of our team lives in the Twin Cities area, so lots of recommendations and support and helping you figure out what feels best, but do want to highlight that it is the financial responsibility of the fellow. And right now, just want to highlight that Teach Minnesota, as it currently stands, certifies or provides licensure in elementary education and then K through 12 special education. So we have a couple of ways that you can move forward at this point. We have 2 deadlines left this spring, one on March 28th and one on April 25th. So we would love to see your application come in before those, April 25th being the last time that you can get your application in and join the program to begin in the summer of 2023. We can also connect. So on the screen, you'll see our email, our website, and our different social media channels. All of those are ways that you can reach out to us or connect. I will also put in the comment section here a way for you to sign up for a phone call with me if you want to talk more about the program and the potential for joining.